May December is basically making fun of the idea that complete devotion to your art, even at the expense of yourself or others, will somehow lead you to genius results. This trope in movies about artists or performers has been around forever. A few notable examples include Whiplash, Birdman, and Black Swan, ironically also starring Natalie Portman. In May December, however, Natalie Portman's character Elizabeth Barry is used to poke fun at method actors. The most recent buzz about method acting is when Austin Butler devoted himself to playing Elvis for 3 years, not seeing his family during that time, and developing an Elvis voice that was so intense that he's now using a vocal coach to get rid of it. But to clarify, I don't think May December is trying to make fun of all method actors, especially because the idea in pop culture of what method acting is has changed over time from its origins. The textbook definition of method acting is that it's a system of acting developed by Konstantin Stanislavski and then further developed by Lee Strasberg, where an actor's dramatic performance draws on the memories from their own life and personal experiences to elicit believable actions, emotions, and behaviors in character. This method then rose to popularity with actors like Marlon Brando and James Dean. But today, I think people associate method actors with those who either go through extreme physical or emotional lengths to prepare for a role, like Jeremy Strong asking to be sprayed with real tear gas for the trial of Chicago 7, or Tom Hanks gaining then losing 50 pounds for Castaway and refusing to cut his hair or bathe. Or it's associated with remaining in character for extended periods of time when the camera isn't rolling, like Hilary Swank living in public as a man for over a month to prep for Boys Don't Cry. In May December, Elizabeth is attempting to fully immerse herself in the world of Gracie and Joe Yu. Gracie was in the tabloids for years due to her at 36 having a sexual relationship with a 13-year-old Joe and then having his child while in prison. Elizabeth, who will play Gracie in an upcoming film, hopes to fully embody Gracie as a character and is convinced that the most authentic way to do so is to get to know her and her family personally and spend as much time as possible in the real locations of where the events took place. Elizabeth carries herself as a very serious and professional actress, but as we get to know her more and more, we see this isn't really the case. Gracie calls her a movie star, but Elizabeth's most notable role is from a TV show called Noah's Ark, where she's playing a veterinarian in scenarios like having to operate on a giant elephant. Elizabeth seems to be embarrassed by this role and wants to distance herself from it by being a more serious actress, taking on a demanding role like Gracie. Although Elizabeth claims she's interested in playing Gracie because she considers her life to be complex and wants to bring truth to her story, it seems to me that her main motivation is more likely that she wants to elevate her status as an actress. Actors typically get a lot more attention and prestige for roles that are based on real people. It's no secret that actors in biopics are favored by the Academy Awards. Elizabeth is also, of course, wildly unprofessional and inappropriate.
Sneaking around with you. I probably shouldn't have said that.
She is having an affair with the married director of the film, sleeps with Joe in hopes of better understanding Gracie as a character, and when being interviewed about acting in a high school drama class, she goes on an entire monologue about how much she wanted to bang her co-star. Elizabeth believes in blending the boundaries of what is real and what is scripted, which also mirrors the real-life example of actors or directors being sexually inappropriate in the name of creating authenticity. In the film Last Tango in Paris, director Bernardo Bertolucci and Marlon Brando last minute added in an unscripted scene where Brando would assault co-star Maria Schneider with a stick of butter, which she considered to be violating. Bertolucci later admitted to not telling Schneider about the butter because he wanted her humiliation to appear real. The director did say that he felt guilty for the way he treated Schneider, but he didn't regret it. As a filmmaker, he said, "You have to be completely free." Many have also heard about Jared Leto, to prepare for his role as the Joker, allegedly sent his co-stars packages with sex toys and used condoms. May December is making commentary on how disturbing these justifications are, because acting, at the end of the day, is a job, and your co-stars are your co-workers.
My co-worker.
The way that Elizabeth justifies her inappropriate sexual behavior in the name of passion and living truthfully in the moment definitely parallels how Gracie habitually uses the excuse that she was passionately in love to justify her abuse of Joe. So Elizabeth keeps extending her stay at the expense of the movie's budget because she feels like she's constantly getting closer to something that's real. But it really seems the longer she's there, the further away she is from finding the truth of the situation. With her attempts to identify more and more with Gracie, she loses the reality that this was a 34-year-old sexually abusing a 13-year-old. She's buying into the the delusional, romanticized reality of Gracie, partially because she herself is becoming attracted to Joe.
The kids are cute, but not like sexy enough. You've seen him. I mean, he's got this like quiet confidence. Even as a kid, I'm sure.
I think you need to come home.
When Joe drives Gracie back to her hotel room, he gives her a letter that was written by Gracie while they first started their affair. For Elizabeth, she believes this is her golden ticket to the ultimate understanding of Gracie and is so excited that she can barely keep her hands off of it. But Joe asks her to wait until he leaves. After she seduces Joe, she upsets him by referring to his life as a story, and in that moment he realizes that he's unfortunately been taken advantage of once again by a narcissistic woman who pretends to care about him for her own personal gain. But Elizabeth doesn't care about this at all. As soon as he leaves, she giddily examines the letter. Elizabeth believes that this is her black swan moment, where she feels she finally found the real Gracie. She delivers the heartfelt contents of the letter in a monologue, believing that despite causing pain to Joe and intruding on Gracie's privacy, the brilliance of her performance justifies it all. But that's not where the movie ends. When saying goodbye to Gracie at graduation, Elizabeth is taken aback to discover that the supposedly exclusive and deeply revealing information she received from Gracie's son, that Gracie was abused by her brothers, is contradicted by Gracie herself. This shakes Elizabeth's confidence that she ever understood Gracie and leaves her even more lost than she was before. And then we get to see the actual shoot of the movie and realize that the movie is nowhere near the high-quality film that Elizabeth acts like she's a part of. It looks like, at best, a cheap TV movie, and at worst, like a video on Pornhub. All of this time and money she wasted on extending her stay with the Yu family has amounted to nothing, and has even sabotaged the production. Because she insisted that all the real 13-year-olds weren't sexy enough, they cast it up with an actor that looks to be at least in his early 20s, losing the actual truth of the story, which was about an adult woman taking advantage of a child. Yes, Elizabeth does a good impression of Gracie, but studying her physicality and her voice could have been accomplished in, like, one day. But even that is arguably unnecessary because there are many clips of her on TV being interviewed already and photographed in magazines. We even see Elizabeth using these as reference for her physicality earlier in the movie. You can tell that during the shoot, Elizabeth is getting in her head and seems uncomfortable and unnatural in her performance. She slows down production to keep getting more and more takes until she feels like it's finally real. Not understanding that she will never be able to understand who Gracie really is because Elizabeth isn't even able to face who she really is.